Well, it's probably happening tonight. The teenage party's thrown in the house when the parents are out of town. We've seen the pictures before. Suddenly the house is overflowing, so is the booze, and then the cops arrive.
That usually leads to a day of reckoning with mom and dad, but what if mom and dad are home the whole time? Increasingly across the country, those parents are facing their own day of reckoning in court.
It could have been a scene from this Playboy bash at Hef's mansion this past fall. The host's invitation even suggesting a dress code. Guys, robes, Chippendales dancers, Hugh Hefner-style clothing. Ladies, Playboy bunny costumes, bunny tails, tutus, leotards, anything that's in your comfort zone. But authorities say they were not comfortable with what was going on at this house on Camino del Val in Poway, California, especially since the birthday girl Olivia Lake was just 18 years old.
You have a party like this, and it's as though you're handing out hand grenades as party favors.
Our affiliate found these photos on Instagram that are now marked private. That's Olivia, the toast of the party, with a pipe in her mouth. Police say when they arrived at the lake's home Friday night, 200 partygoers, most of them underage, were inside the house. And so was Olivia's dad, attorney Jeff Lake, who posed for this picture with his daughter.
Once they determined that there was a sizable amount of underage drinking going on inside the house, they took Mr. Lake into custody.
That's right, dad, not daughter, was hauled away. Police say for violating the city's social host ordinance.
No comment about the party at your house this weekend?
No.
But in a written statement, Lake tells 2020 his intentions were to provide my daughter a fun and safe 18th birthday in the privacy of our own home, and it was to be drug and alcohol free. Lake says his daughter's rules were clear. My parents will be home, so please behave yourselves. And she clearly told her guests it's a clean party and to keep the party safe. Olivia's father says uninvited troublemakers on a public street resulted in exactly the opposite. And he's not the only parent to go through this experience. Barry and Paula Spencer's 18-year-old son Nick's party started out as a day of celebration.
What were the ground rules?
Nothing illegal.
Those would prove to be famous last words.
We started having people show up who I didn't recognize and kind of got a little out of control.
A rager that within hours ballooned to about 100 rowdy kids, openly drinking in the backyard when police descend to break it up.
It was just mayhem.
The first thing that I remember was a policeman saying that my dad was going to jail.
The Spencers claim they were actually confiscating any alcohol they found. District Attorney Stephanie Anderson believes the Spencers were just another set of passive parents turning a blind eye to tipsy teens.
There was no real attempt to prevent underage drinking at that home.
She points to the police report from that night, which describes a scene fit for a frat house, complete with a teenager passed out on a neighbor's lawn.
They described the scene at your house that night as, quote, an animal house.
It's just not true.
But Anderson didn't buy their story, and she went after the Spencers, charging them with allowing minors to consume alcohol in their home, a crime that now had them facing jail time.
What's more dangerous? Having my kids down in the basement where I know they're going to drink a few beers, or having them go out to the softball field at night and drink where there's nobody to keep an eye on anything?
In this scenario, there's no difference at all. There wasn't anyone there to keep an eye on anything.
But Anderson had a hard time convincing a jury of that.
When it did go to trial, it was split down the middle,
Yes.
6-6.
Yeah.
Did that surprise you?
No, not terribly. It's a very divisive issue.
Rather than retry the Spencers, Anderson offered them a deal. No jail time, but they would have to pay $17,000 in fines and restitution, write a letter of apology in the local newspaper, and serve 100 hours of community service each, which they have now completed.
We did not intend for kids to drink.
Are you ever going to host another party?
I'm sure that we can manage that.
You sure?
I would maybe ask a parent or two to stick around.